They have to make the mess, so they really did keep some money. Right, that's.
But how much you get really people like really explain that the ground floor is like ball, we have very frequently.
Our question.
Like, I didn't have to find out, so I was. Yeah. It's a life sport, it's good.
Get 2 blankets, a bolster, and 2 blocks. 2, 1, 2. Okay. 2 minutes. Yeah. Should we do blocks? Okay. I'm gonna do 2, 1, 2. Yeah, and then 2.
T54 there.
Sorry, yeah. No, you're good.
There you go.
Okay, and then just we're gonna use starting here. Yeah, that's fine.
Right. And there's a cool festival in there. And then the stage there, it's like, they're not, probably crafts stuff. There.
That's today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, they have all these tents.
Yeah, when I was driving across the bridge.
Okay, so let's all take a comfortable seat on our mat. We're gonna get started. We're running a little bit. And I encourage you to sit up so that your hips, so we often think about our hips like here, and this is really the top of your pelvis. Your hip is the joint here where your femur goes into your pelvis. And so you want this part of your body, which you could think of as like the tops of your thighs, higher than your knees. So if I sit like this, you know, it looks like this should be a perfectly comfortable seat for me because I've been doing yoga for a long time. But the tops of my thighs are technically lower than my knees here. So I like to sit up on a couple of blankets at least, or a bolster and a couple of blankets, or some blocks and whatever it might be. So the higher you can be, kind of take a couple blankets, put them on top of your bolster, and just see, like it's more work. It might be like a little bit of a pain, but it will feel better and your body will thank you for that. So I knew that we were having a bridal party come today, and I was thinking on my way in, I'm like, well, what should I teach about? Should I teach about union or marriage or building like a solid foundation and how we do that in our yoga poses? And what I landed on instead, because this is really also what I need today, is this concept of why I teach gentle yoga. Because right now I have 2 little kids and I can only commit to teaching 1 class a week. And there are many different styles that I would love to teach, but I choose to teach gentle. And it's really because I think that this is what we most need, is the practice of being gentle with not just our bodies, but with ourselves and with each other. And how, man, in marriage, sometimes it's really difficult to do, is to remember to be gentle with your partner. And in parenting, it's really super challenging, especially like I've been up since 4 a.m. because my one daughter was awake to go to the bathroom and then couldn't fall asleep. She has a hard time regulating the nervous system. Once she's up, she's kind of up. And I mean, I'm like that. And then by the time she fell asleep, my younger daughter woke, and I was like, oh my gosh, And on those days, it's like I have to constantly remind myself to be gentle on myself. To remember, I'm not operating at this full capacity that I would be if I had gotten a full night's sleep. That when we're under any kind of stress in life, like planning a wedding or whatever it might be, that we're our nervous system is in this activated state, and maybe even at certain times that we're not capable of even remembering to be gentle. Yoga, this practice of gentle yoga, and of really kind of slowing down, giving ourselves the space and the time to let our nervous system regulate. Like sometimes it may take a whole class before you actually start to relax a little bit. It's so important because otherwise, most of the time, we're just on. The nervous system is just that switch, it's flipped, and we don't necessarily have the tools or the ability to give ourselves and other people that space of compassion, right? To say like, I'm gonna take a deep breath now and just hold space for, my daughter's having a meltdown because I left to come here and she didn't see me leave the driveway, and that seems so silly. Like, come on, I'm right here, I'm on the phone with you now. But to her, it's a really big deal. And instead of being like, just get over it, like, can I hold space for her? Can I be gentle to her experience? Can I treat her in the same way that I would if she fell and skinned her knee? Because to that, we have compassion and empathy. But when someone's struggling emotionally, can we do the same thing? So we're going to offer ourselves that today. So please close your eyes and bring your awareness inward. Let's take a cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Kind of whatever has come before this moment, either this morning, this week, your life, you can just kind of let it go and give yourself permission to be present here right now on your mat. And then notice your physical body. And maybe there are some injuries. Maybe there are some aches and pains. Maybe you're feeling really good. Whatever it is that you find and that you notice that comes up, can you be gentle with it? And instead of saying, oh, I hate the way that this feels, or I wish this never happened, I wish my body looked different, whatever it might be, can you let that story go? And instead just witness, like, okay, there's a story around my body that's happening. Can I instead bring my awareness to the points of the body that are touching the ground and let them get heavy? What happens? Can I take a deep breath in and lengthen my spine? Take my shoulders up, back, and down. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky. What happens? Notice your breath and see if you could take a little fuller, deeper breath. And what happens? Can you feel yourself start to soften? Can you feel yourself become a little more gentle? Can you give yourself this room and this space to be exactly as you are in this moment? And when we practice this, holding space for ourselves in this way, and allowing ourselves to be as we are, with compassion, then we can also offer this outward to our partners, to our children, to our parents, to our friends, to our support group. Please bring your hands together in front of your heart and take a moment to honor yourself for taking this time to come to your mat, and take a moment to honor your support system. Some of you are each other's support system in this room. but we all have someone who made it possible for us to be here right now. And I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. Could be simply to remember to be gentle with yourself when you're having a hard time, when you start to beat yourself up about something, when you start to think that you should be different or wish that your life was different. Instead, can you take a deep breath in? Can you offer yourself this kind and loving, gentle compassion? We'll seal in our intentions and begin our class with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. Then gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes and release your hands. We're going to start by coming up to stand. So you can just take your props, move them off of your mat, except for your blocks. Your blocks you'll have at the top of your mat. And then you'll come to stand at the top of your mat in Tadasana so that your feet are parallel, either sitting bone or hip distance apart. And if you have socks on, if they're not grippy, you'll want to take them off. And then you'll see that the outside edges of your feet are parallel. So most of us have the heels slightly turned in towards each other, so the feet kind of turn out a little bit. So you'll want to widen your heels, good. Pick up all 10 of your toes, and then kind of shift your weight around your feet and feel your big toe mounds, your pinky toe mounds, and the center of your heel. So those are your supports in your base. Press down into those parts of your feet and then relax your toes. Activate your legs, hug them in towards each other and lift your kneecaps. Good. So you should feel that you're working and that you're rooting from your hips down into your feet. And then from here, you'll take your arms down by your sides with your palms facing forward and feel what happens in your shoulders. So let's all take our hands and bring them back the way that they were and notice what happens to your shoulders. Maybe you can even see it in mine. And then you'll roll your palms forward. And do you feel that your shoulder blades draw onto your back? That's what you want. Now, when you did that, maybe your ribs popped forward a little bit because you were like, ah. So you'll want to take those and knit them in so you're engaging your core a little bit, but keep the openness in your shoulders. So that's just to stand, right? So much work just to do this mountain pose. See if you could keep that, keep rooting through your feet, take a deep breath in, and as you do, reach your arms all the way up, press down into your feet and reach up through your fingertips. And then exhale, turn your palms away and bring your hands back down. And then inhale, palms turn out, reach your arms up, you can look up, exhale, palms turn away, bring your arms back down. A couple more like this. More. Beautiful. Here we're going to add on. So as you inhale, you'll take your arms all the way up. And this time, as you exhale, swan dive forward, lead with your heart, hinge from your hips, and then bring your hands down to your blocks. So if you are like me and you have tight hamstrings, you already might be like, whoa. If that's the case, bend your knees. So what we want to do here is keep a neutral spine. Keep the spine long. Don't worry about the legs. Maybe you bend your knees a lot. Like you could look at me. Look how much I bend my knees because I have tight hamstrings and it's going to take a little while for them to warm up. And we don't want to injure ourselves, right? So don't worry about how much you have to bend your knees. Worry about keeping your back flat. Breathe in here. Lengthen from the tip of your spine through the crown of your head. Then exhale and fold in. And then inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, bow in. Keep flowing like this. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. So here, keep going. We give the body this opportunity to gently begin to open, right? To kind of warm up. Maybe we just woke up. Maybe we woke up and got right in a car to come here. Maybe we're just, aging and it takes longer. One more, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Now press down into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Press into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So we're going to add on from here. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Place your hands, step your head back. Find down dog. So you place your hands flat on the mat and take them wide so that your pinkies touch the edges of your mat. See that your index fingers point straight ahead. Maybe you have to dial your hands out a little. Then press into your hands and lengthen your spine. Same thing here. Maybe you have to bend your knees. If you had to bend your knees when you were forward folding, you have to bend your knees here. It's the same thing. Breathe. Notice if you start to hold your breath. Then inhale, you'll come forward to a high plank, push-up position, and then bring your knees down. When you brought your knees down, if you shifted your butt back, don't, right? Keep the plank. So the tailbone lengthens. You are still in a push-up, your knees are just down. Shoulder blades on the back of your heart. Look forward towards the front of your mat, and then shift your chest slightly forward. Bend your elbows straight back, and come all the way down to your chest. As you did that, did your shoulders drop down? You want to keep them lifted away from the mat. Good. And then bend your knees, even here. Pick up your right knee, lengthen it back towards the back of your mat, and then bring it back down. And then feel the difference in the front of your hips, like major, right? So you want to do the same thing on the other side. Lift your left knee, lengthen it back, bring it down. Then extend both legs, point your toes, press the tops of your feet down into the ground. Slide your chest forward and up, take a breath in, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold. Press into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to do that again. We're just going to move a little faster. You move with your breath. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, step back, down dog. Take a few breaths here. Inhale, come forward to your high plank. Knees can come down or you stay like this. Exhale, chaturanga, come all the way down to your belly. Inhale, come up into cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. This time, right leg lifts as you inhale to get up into the air. As you exhale, lunge your foot all the way up in between your hands. You may have to help it along. The goal is that you get your foot up high enough that your right knee is over your right ankle. Then lift your hips higher than you think. Maybe you need your blocks to do that. So as you lift your hips higher than you think, then you take your right hip back, your left hip forward, hug your legs in towards each other. Once you have that, you can sink the pelvis down to the ground. Breathe, look forward, shoulder blades on your back, lengthen your spine. Remember to breathe, so easy to forget. Then take your left hand down. Inhale, sweep your right arm up as you twist. And then see if you can let this feel good. So the challenge to yoga is that we put ourselves in these shapes that we typically don't do at home, right? Like maybe we're not doing this every day at work, right? Unless you're like a yoga teacher. So here it's uncomfortable. It's challenging. Can we keep calm? Can we breathe? Can we keep our point of focus on our breath rather than on the difficulty surrounding the pose? Exhale, bring your right hand down, step back, downward facing dog. So here's where I'm going to give you some options. You can stay right here in down dog. If you're like, holy moly, this yoga is already, really challenging right now, then you come into child's pose. You rest. Or if you're ready to go, you want more movement, flow through a vinyasa. So there's no right or wrong choice between those three options. There's just the best one for you right now. And then we'll all meet back in downward facing dog. And as you inhale, take your left leg up. Exhale, lunge it forward. Step it all the way forward so that your left knee is over your left ankle. You can come up onto your blocks. If you do, your blocks are just framing your front foot, and you just act like the blocks are just like an extension of your own arm. Then lift your hips a little higher. Hug them in towards each other. Hug the legs in. The left hip moves back, the right hip moves forward. Once you have that, you press your right thigh up to the sky and keep that leg super straight and strong, and then you can start to settle the hips down. Breathe. Look forward, keep your spine long, heart open. And then right hand comes down. Inhale, sweep your left arm up. Breathe. Exhale, release, step back into down dog. Same three options here. Stay in down dog, move through vinyasa, or come into child's pose. We're all going to meet in child's pose. So whichever option you choose, at some point you find child pose can be wide, feet together. But exactly one or that one. If it gets too cold, let me know. Because in child's pose, walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. And while you're here, check in with your tongue in your mouth and notice if it's pressing onto the roof of your mouth or the back of your teeth. Could you relax it down? Notice if you're clenching your jaw. Can you let that go? So all of these ways that our body just holds on to this hypervigilance, right? Of always having to be on. Always being in a state of stress response. Can we practice consciously releasing that? Consciously being more gentle with the body. Inhale, come back through center and then walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through your right side body. Here, see if you could widen the corners of your eyes. If you could make some space between your eyebrows. If you could smooth out your forehead. Inhale, come back to center. Find your way back into downward facing dog. Notice the difference now that you gave yourself a little bit of a break. A little time to recenter. And then from here, as you inhale, once again, take your right leg up to the sky and exhale, lunge your right foot forward. This time, pivot your back heel down. And see that your front heel dissects the arch of your back foot. So that the center of your back foot and your front foot are on like the same balance beam. Then inhale, cartwheel your arms up, coming into warrior two. So in warrior two, your hips face the wall to your left. Your gaze comes out over your right middle finger. Bring your front hand, your middle finger to the center of your head. And then see if you can line up the center of your head right over your tailbone. Yeah, keep that. Extend your arm back. Bend your front knee a little more. As you look down your front leg, can you see your big toe? If you can't, you've got to move that knee over to the right more. Breathe. Then flip your front palm and reverse your warrior. Your left hand comes to rest lightly on your back thigh. Reach back, lengthen back. Exhale, cartwheel your arms down. Pivot your back heel up, downward facing dog. Option to move through a vinyasa here or just hang out in down dog. Child is always available. From downward facing dog, left leg lifts as you inhale, lunge it forward as you exhale. Take your time, get yourself set up. Pivot your back heel down. Once you're ready, once you have your foundation set, however long that takes, no one cares how long it takes you to get into warrior two. Then you'll cartwheel your arms up and you'll come on up. And then you'll see what's happening here is my front foot pointing straight. Are my wrists in line with my shoulders? Can you bring the center of your head right over your tailbone? So this is the tendency, right? You're leaning, you're like, we're in warrior. But really, we want to care about the spine. So we want to keep the spine neutral. Center of the head right over the tailbone. Then you bend into your front thigh. If you can't see your left toe, to move that knee over. And then can you hang out here and breathe? And can you do it without clenching your jaw? Can you do it without telling yourself how much you hate yoga? Can you do it without thinking about we have to buy the store later, right? That's the practice. Can I be here right now with myself in a way that's gentle? Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. A couple of breaths here. Then exhale, cartwheel the arms down, pivot your back heel up, downward facing dog. One last option for vinyasa. This is your last one. So if you want to take one, now's the time. If you're already like, I'm done with vinyasas, we're 15 minutes now, then you don't. And then as you inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands and exhale, fold out over your legs. From here, toe heel your feet as wide as your mat. So you're just taking your feet wider. Yeah, little bend in your knees. Keep your knees a little bent, a little soft, and then grab onto opposite elbow tips. And hang. So if you have tight hamstrings, or if you have some low back stuff, this is a pose you should do every day, where you just let gravity do the work. Let gravity pull a little traction on your spine. But you gotta keep your knees bent, especially to start, to protect your low back. And then you could kind of sway side to side. And if your hamstrings are really open,
And you can keep your low back neutral. By all means, you can straighten out your legs. Release your jaw again. Relax your face. Feel what it feels like to have the blood rush to your head. It could be intense. And then you'll release the clasp of your elbows and you'll bend your knees if you straightened your legs, and if not, you'll just keep them bent. And then slowly as you inhale, start to round up, really slow, rounding up, stacking one vertebrae at a time, being gentle with yourself as you come up, because maybe you're a little lightheaded. So you just take a few breaths there. Like, okay, well, this is because all the blood is in my head and now it's moving back down. Okay. Or I need to sit down, whatever it might be. And then from here, we'll move into a balancing pose. So bring your hands to your hips, and then you'll bring all of your weight into your right foot. And you're just gonna feel what it feels like to maybe kind of put some weight on your right foot. And I'm just mirroring you. And so if this is already like, you're like, yeah, whoa, you'll either move towards a wall so you can hold on, because there's no shame in that. You could step off of your mat because it's going to be easier to balance on this hard wood than it is on your mat. You think, really? Really? So a little firmer foundation. And then once you have all of your weight kind of settled, you're going to open your left knee out to the side. And you're going to decide if you want to keep the ball of your foot down, your heel to your ankle. So here's one tree pose. Or you could take your foot up your shin. Two tree pose. Or you could pick up your foot and bring it up over your knee. It just can't be on your knee. Your knee bends this way, so you never want to put pressure on it to bend that way. And then wherever you're at, you'll reach your arms up. And find a focal point. It could be low to the ground if balance is tricky. It could be up high if you want to challenge yourself. It should not be me. It should be something that's not moving. And then you breathe. And you let yourself kind of sweat. And you let yourself fall. Or you don't have to, I'm not saying do that. But you could, like if you do, it's all right. Be gentle. And then when you're ready, release, let it go, shake it out. And then we're going to do the second side. So you'll bring all of your weight into your left foot. And see what that feels like, right? Just get a feel for it. And then you'll open your right knee out to the side. And then you decide, it's probably going to be the same. Whatever you did on the first side, we'll repeat on the second, but maybe not. Just that foot, the only rule is not on your knee, not on the side of your knee, above or below it. And then when you're ready, reach your arms up. So here, can we relax while we stay steady? Can we release control where it's not needed in the body? And be strong and sturdy where we need to. Keep pressing your foot into whatever part of your leg it's touching, and see if you could lengthen your spine a little more, go a little taller. Oh my gosh, beautiful, you guys. And then go ahead and release and shake it out. And then we'll come to sit. You could sit up on the little edge of a blanket or on a bolster. And then you'll want your hands to connect to something. So if you have to put your hips side, then you'll bring the ground up to you with your blocks. We're just going to do a little gentle twisting flow here. So as you inhale, turn your palms up, reach up. As you exhale, twist to the right, gaze out over your right shoulder. Left hand comes to your right knee. Inhale, reach your arms back up through center. Exhale, twist to your left. Inhale, unwind, back through center, you got it. Exhale, twist, smooth with your breath here. So you don't worry about
how fast I'm twisting or how fast the person in front of you or next to you is twisting. You just flow with your breath. And do one more each time. Good. And then you'll change the cross of your legs. Just go ahead and switch that. And then we'll do a couple of, it's called breath of joy. So bring your hands to heart center. And I love this one because it's really accessible. Like even people who can't get down on the ground can do this seated in a chair. So you can do this with at work or whatever. At home, the computer, so you have the space. So from here, you're going to interlace your fingers, and as you inhale, lift just your elbow tips. As you exhale, press your palms away and round your back, big lift. Inhale, stretch your arms up, look up. Exhale, float your arms down and interlace your hands behind you. Inhale, stretch your arms away and lift your heart. Exhale, hands back to heart center. You're gonna do that 2 more times. So inhale, interlace the fingers, lift just your elbow tips. Exhale, press the palms away and round your back. Inhale, reach your arms up, you look up. Exhale, float your arms down, interlace your hands behind you. Inhale, stretch your arms away, lift your chest, maybe look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. 1 more. Inhale, elbow tips lift. Exhale, round your back. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, float your arms down. Interlace behind your back. Inhale, back bend, look up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Beautiful. Now let's take the soles of your feet together and your knees wide. You can move the flesh away from your sitting bones, like get your butt out of the way basically. And then what you want here is you want to be towards the front of your sitting bones. You don't want to round back like this if possible. So you're just working towards finding that. Inhale, lift your heart, your hands can come to your feet. So if you're up on a bolster, you can come for this. You could be up on the edge of a blanket, but otherwise you'll be under that. And this might be a lot. This could be your pose. It's a beautiful pose. Or you could start to hinge from your hips, pull forward. Maybe your head is down at your feet already. Maybe this is your edge, and this is where you stay and you hang out. If it feels appropriate for your body, from here, you could round your back and kind of let your head hang and make this more yin. So you see, well, where do I feel most comfortable today? Check in with your body. Which pose is best for my body right now? And you don't worry about what someone else's pose looks like or what you think the pose is supposed to look like. And that may sound so simple, but what that process of checking in gives us is so rich. Because when we're stressed, when we're really busy, or when we're struggling, we can so easily disconnect from what's going on in our present moment. And so the more we can practice checking in to say, how am I right now? How is my body right now? What am I feeling right now? The more we can hold space for whatever's present to be there and to give ourselves that little validation that it's okay and to be gentle with whatever arises. So the more we can let that charge or that feeling, the more it can pass, the more easily it can be processed or heal.
Inhale, come on up. Bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. Guide your knees up, and we're gonna come down onto our backs. So if you want to get a drink of water first, now's a good time to do that. We'll be on our backs for a little while. And then we'll only come up to like reposition your backs. So I'm one of those people that's like, you put me down on my back and you'll go, then I can get back. So just lay down. How many of class and they're like, and now down dog. I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm tough, Shavasana. All right, so lay down, stretch out, right? Full body stretch here. If you have the space, lengthen from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. Just feel what it feels like to be on the ground now. Maybe it's such a welcome relief. Maybe it's surprisingly uncomfortable. What do you find? And we're going to move through a little flow here. So you'll just be mindful of like, there's a person behind you who can tickle their feet. You're just going to try not to do that. Let's take a deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. And then inhale, lengthen back out. Full body stretch. And then exhale, hug your left knee to your chest. Inhale, lengthen back out. Move with your breath here. This is also a great little flow to do at home. Really helps with digestion. And also with keeping the hip flexors activated and stretched, which is so important. You know, it's like as we age, most elderly people, as they get older, if they choose to move, they move into a one level home, like a ranch style house, right? Like no stairs, because they don't want to fall, or we don't want them to fall and injure themselves. But really, it's one of the worst things we can do, because that action of, think about what you're doing right now. It's kind of like walking upstairs, right? You're lifting your leg, and then you're bringing it back down. And what this does is keeps the hip flexors healthy and activated, and we need that for balance. Just a few more like this. Do one more each side. Okay, and then I lied, because now you're going to hug your right knee back in. So hug your right knee into your chest, flex your left foot. So activate your left leg on the ground. Take your right knee in your left hand, bring your right arm out to the side. You can be in a cactus arm with your elbow bent, so the back of your hand rests on the ground. Your wrist is over your elbow's in line with your shoulder. You feel your shoulder blades on the earth. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to twist. You'll take your right knee over to the left, all the way over. You can roll onto your outer left hip until the pinky toe edge of your left foot comes down to the ground. And take your gaze out over your right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Extend your right leg long to meet your left, and just pause here, and maybe you feel if there's a difference between your right side and your left side, just from that one pose. And then we'll do the second side. You'll hug your left knee into your chest. Take your left knee into your right hand. Left arm comes out to the side in that cactus or goalpost arm. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, twist. Guide your knee over to the right. Roll onto the outer right hip. Take your gaze out over your left shoulder. If your left shoulder pops up, I forgot to tell you this on the first side, so I'm sorry. But if that left shoulder pops up, it's no problem. You'll just bring your left hand to rest on your left rib cage. Inhale, come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug here. And then you can massage your low back by doing little circles with your knees in one direction and the other, rocking side to side, whatever might feel good. So funny, you guys, some of you guys were talking about like some injuries before class and how you can injure yourself playing pickleball, and I'm just thinking like, now I injure myself when I sleep. Like all my injuries, like I wake up, I'm like, what happened here? Like you can try yourself doing anything, especially as we get older. So you just give yourself some extra love here, like, oi. Being gentle with our bodies as they're changing every day. Okay, then hug your knees into your chest. Take your knees wide, feet up to the sky, and then grab onto the pinky toe edges of your feet for happy baby. And if you can't grab the pinky toe edges of your feet, you'll just take a hold of your ankles or even your shins. Or you can even hold on to the backs of your thighs here. Plug your knees back into your chest one more time. Gently roll to your right side. You're gonna come on up to sit just for a couple of seconds. Okay, now's when we're gonna use the full Monty of the props. So we're gonna set ourselves up for a restorative pose. And know that you don't have to do this pose. You could take a regular Shavasana if that appeals to you more, but give it a try first and see if it's gonna work for you. So this is a restorative Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined cobbler's pose. And you set it up like this. You take your two blocks. One block comes to its highest setting at the top of your mat where your head is. And then the second block comes at its middle height, right behind it. So you have a little step there. So turn this one wider. Like that. So it looks like that. Okay, and then now we'll take your, and it doesn't matter that much. Okay. You just need to have it support your bolster. So you bring your bolster up onto this little ramp. Like that. So that if you give it a little push, it feels stable. And then you're going to take two blankets. And one of them, you're just going to fold in half so that it looks like this. And you're going to place that over the top. That's going to be for your head. Now, when you come down, if that's not enough, you can fold this in half again. And it could be for your head this way with this roll to your neck. So you can make like a bigger, it's a pillow. Yeah, it's a blanket pillow. All right, and then this is the hardest part. hardest part of class. You're gonna take your other blanket, and you're gonna open it all the way like this, so it's just folded in half once, with the fringe together. You're gonna lay that down and you're gonna roll it up. You might think I'm overhyping the difficulty of this, but you'd be surprised. It is.
And
So you're just making a long blanket noodle. Like a pool noodle. Yeah, you guys are pros. All right, good work. So now you're gonna come to sit with your low back right up against the bolster. If you're too far away, it is not gonna feel good. You don't want space here. You want to shimmy, shimmy, shimmy back. Okay, and then you're gonna take the soles of your feet together. You're gonna bring your knees up a little bit. And then you take your noodle over the tops of your ankles. And then you pull the edges back so you can tuck them under your thighs. So that when you let go, when you let your knees come down, it holds. Yes? Then you'll take your hands down and you're gonna slowly lower yourself all the way onto your bolster. And then if you have some low back stuff, like I do now, thanks to my kids, you'll just kind of lift your hips a tiny bit and lengthen your tailbone. Like, so if you feel any pinching in your low back, you have too much of a tilt, you want to level that out. If your low back is fine, then you don't want to. Is everybody cool? Okay, it should feel like that. Like you can hang out there, yes? Yeah. Okay, good. So now you hang out. And if it gets uncomfortable, you could extend your legs and still stay up on the bolster. You could scrap the whole thing and come into Shavasana. You could bring some blocks down under your thighs. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to offer Reiki in Shavasana. So Reiki is just this universal light energy that comes through me into your body. If you don't want Reiki, I won't be offended. Just raise your hand now so I know to skip you. And otherwise, you would just feel my hands on your head or on your ankles, depending on where I can get you. So now let's all take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. Close your eyes if they're not already. Give yourself permission here. Fully surrender. To let go of anything that happened before this moment. And anything that's yet to come. Fully relax into Shavasana. Awareness back into your body. Gently wiggle your fingers, palms. Begin to move and stretch in any way that feels good on your body. And then being mindful that your arm props can come on to your side, stay on your bolster, move everything off of your mat and curl up on your side that way. And then you'll slowly make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. Taking your time to get there. Once you arrive, close your eyes. Bring your hands together at heart center. Take a moment to call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. Repeat it here to yourself. Feel free to modify or change it
in any way that you want. And then take a moment to notice how you feel now at the end of your practice. If you feel a little calmer, a little gentler. You feel as though you've come home to yourself a little bit more fully. Once again, honor that process. It's always a process. We wander away from this place within ourselves, this light, this stillness, and then we find our way back again and again. The more we practice, the easier the path is to find. Let's seal in our intentions and end our class together with the final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Thank you all so much for your practice today. Thank you for being here with me. Congratulations on your wedding in October. And have a wonderful rest of your weekend, you guys. Thank you. That was great. Good. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.